my presentation of sex education in America and the LGBTQ plus youths. My name is Stacy Albertson, and this presentation was created for Orientation and Preparation Core, taught by Aaron Irving. Well, let's get right into it. Let's talk about sex. America's approach to education differs from a lot of the other developed countries in the world. America's approach to sexual education focuses on prevention of pregnancy, prevention of STIs, and the actual physical biology of how a child or a baby is made. And it ignores any other topics that are um, considered sex in nature. They don't. We here in the U.S. don't talk about consent, about pleasure, about different sexual orientations. The LGBTQ community is almost completely overlooked, except for in certain situations. Other countries, such as the Netherlands, they begin teaching sex education to their children as early as 4. And they talk about appropriate touching and consent, and they start at a young age. So by the time that they're teenagers, this is usually when a lot of us start to explore, they already have a good idea of what it all means. So, my question for you to ponder is the US's approach to sex education working? In a questionnaire distributed in Montana to teachers and youths, 90% of the participants rated 9 separate sex education topics as being important. And out of those 9 education topics that were rated as important, less than 30% recalled even a mention of the LGBTQ plus community. The study goes on to further say that the the education topics that they viewed as important weren't really discussed in detail, and that the education system in itself was lacking when it came to any kind of information that didn't involve prevention. There does seem to be some hope for the sex education in America. The Chicago public school system has adopted the standards of the National Sexuality Education Standards and have started to teach this in their school system. And this starts as young as kindergarten. They start in kindergarten, where 300 minutes are taught every year from kindergarten to 4th grade concerning sex education. And this education program does talk about the LGBTQ plus community, which is growing, and it touches on subjects other than just prevention, prevention of pregnancy, prevention of STIs. And then it goes on further that once you start aging from 5th to 12th grade, you're taught 675 minutes every year of sex education. According to Cantor and Lindbergh, sex education should provide young people with the information and skills to navigate relationships, understand sex and sexuality, and to help them find additional resources for all relevant health issues. These are things that are lacking right now, but the fact that the Chicago public school system has adopted this new education plan following the national standards for sex education does give me some hope that maybe things are starting to change. Because this new generation, Gen Z, they're exploring right now. They're exploring gender, they're exploring sexuality, they're exploring all of these things about sex. And we, as adults and educators, need to get on board. We need to be able to help them, to guide them, and to become educated ourselves. All right, so this is where I'm going to throw in some of my own thoughts and opinions, and this has nothing to do with research, just my own opinions and things I've witnessed and am a part of having a child who is in the LGBTQ plus community. We need to start normalizing talking about sex with our children. Our children are exposed earlier and more often because of the um, World Wide Web to sex and different ideas and different things. Um, so, who do we want teaching them? Who do we want them to learn from? I know I don't want my daughter learning about sex from TikTok. So, for me, that means becoming educated myself and fighting for a change in how our schools teach sex. And we need to start not just normalizing talking about it, but the whole idea around sex. It's not dirty. It is not taboo. It's a natural, normal part of life. And that includes our LGBTQ community as well. That community is growing. This new generation is out there and they're questioning everything. They're exploring, they're questioning gender, sexual orientation, what it means to be in relationships. Polyamory is becoming something that these children, our youth, are interested in. They want to figure out what works because the script that most of us have been following our whole lives is falling apart and it's not working for this new generation. So it's time for us to get on board. We need to be the ones who guide them and teach them so we can help them make good decisions. And if we don't know how to do that, we need to at least be open to listening to them and guiding them to the right resources that can help them so that they can make healthy decisions and can live a happy life and not be questioning themselves constantly. If this topic interested any of you, there's a list here of all the resources I used. And actually, when I was researching this topic, I found a lot of different information. There's a lot of opinions out there, but there are quite a few studies and educational resources out there that talk about this subject. And the US isn't the only one exploring this. There's other countries who have even a worse education system than us. And this is something that I believe is a worldwide issue. So let's get out there. Let's start talking about sex.